Today, we're going to be talking about how to trust yourself. No bullshit, just how to trust yourself. My name is Jenny Rock from Jenny Rock Coaching, and it's all about really when you leave a relationship that has been abused, you start to feel like you can't trust your own decisions because you got it so badly wrong last time. Why would you trust your decisions when you made such a big mistake before? And it's a journey. So it's a journey that we all go through, one at a time, but sometimes knowing a bit about it and having some steps to guide you makes a world of difference and can shortcut that recovery by weeks or even months, sometimes even years. So today's talk I have based on an article in A Conscious Rethink, which is a really good site to have a look at. But when you find it hard to trust yourself, it is more than likely that you're struggling with your self-esteem. Your self-esteem has just hit rock bottom because you've been told that you're useless, you're rubbish, you're worthless, nobody else is ever going to want you, they're the only one that's ever going to want you, blah, 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 blah. So I've got 20 tips to help you rebuild that faith in yourself, from confronting anxiety to staying true to yourself. And I'm really hoping that you're going to find these methods useful and get back to loving and trusting yourself pretty soon. So the first one in the list is to be authentically you. And I know it sounds really trite because everybody says, oh, just be yourself. It's some of the most generic advice out there, but it's one of the best things that you can do when you're learning to trust yourself, because the more genuine that you can be, the more you'll learn about yourself and the more others will learn about you too. And that helps you to establish how you really feel and what you really want, rather than doing what you think you should be doing based upon what other people want. So by staying true to yourself, you're essentially building more of your identity, which when you're talking about trust, it really, really helps. It massively helps you. And, would you necessarily trust a food store by the side of the road that you've never seen before to go and get a meal from? Or would you trust a chain restaurant with a familiar logo? Which would you trust? If you don't want to get food poisoning, if you want to know the cleanliness and the hygiene standards of what you're going to eat, those kind of things. So the more genuine and established an identity is, the more trust that is there. So, number 2, write down all the things you like about yourself. Now, I know that this is really difficult because we hate talking about ourselves. And we hate doing kind of like I don't know, it feels really like childish or stupid. But honestly, trust me, it helps. So make a little pros list about yourself. Don't include any cons because we're focusing on positivity right now. And keeping a track of all of the things that you like about yourself and any successes that you've celebrated is really, really important. And it can be the tiniest thing. It could be, I have beautiful feet. It could be, I am a whiz at doing my nails. It could be that other people love me doing their hair for them. It could be anything. It could be, I got out of bed today. Sometimes those little steps are the most important steps of all, because you need to know how great you are and how many positive qualities you have. And if you can't find any, if you have friends and family that love you, then ask them to help you make this list. Because, you can say, look, I've got this stupid project I've got to do, this stupid coach I've got, and she's told me to make a list of all the good things about myself. Can you help me? Because I can't think of any. Blame it on me, I don't care. But then when you're feeling down and you're feeling worthless, you can just look at your list and find that you can trust yourself. Just look at your list. Another thing, number 3, keep a note of positive things people say about you. So since, we shouldn't care what other people think about us, but we generally do. And we we shouldn't focus so much on what other people's opinions of us are, but they can come in handy sometimes. And you can start keeping a track of nice things that people say about you, compliments they give, and feedback you get at work. So if somebody says, "Oh, I like your jacket," "I'm wearing nice clothes." Somebody says, "Oh, have you done something different with your hair? I really like that." Got complimented on my hair. It sounds daft, but trust me, just do it. Just take the instruction and just do it, because even though it feels really difficult at first and it feels really unnatural to do it at first, but it will work. Okay? So you can start keeping track of nice things say about you and blah, blah, yeah. So when you've got that list of nice things people say about you, plus your list of the good things about you, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like you can't trust yourself, you can then look back on that list and say, actually, I am actually quite competent and trustworthy, you know? And having that list as a reference point is really a great way to use your resources and build up your self-esteem and self-worth. Now, number 4. This is one that some people struggle with. I'm quite happy with this one, but other people I know would really, really struggle. And this is about enjoying alone time. Because being around a lot of people can get really, really overwhelming, especially if you don't trust yourself. And you're always worrying that you might say something stupid or do something wrong because you've got no self-belief in your worth, in your words, or in your behaviour. And by getting used to being on your own, you'll quickly become more comfortable with yourself and your opinions. And it's really important, and links to what we mentioned earlier about building your own identity, because it feels strange at first, and it might be something that you are not used to doing at all. But spending time alone will really help you build up a trusting relationship with yourself. And the next one is push yourself. Now, I have a saying for this one, which many of the people that I work with will know quite intimately, which is feel the fear and do it anyway. Push yourself. As we talked about before, stepping outside of your comfort zone can really help you to trust yourself. So often we think that we're limited. In fact, we just tell ourselves that we're limited and we believe ourselves, but we're not, because our external surroundings, factors beyond our control, aren't normally the thing that's holding us back. It's the perception that we have of ourselves and the boundaries that we build up around ourselves that stop us from getting what we want and achieving what we want. And you have no idea just how capable you are until you push yourself into situations that you would otherwise think you can't handle. And by letting yourself try things and challenge the limitations you've set on yourself, you'll realize just how strong and competent you are. Because the more you try, the more you grow. And that inner strength builds up, and it becomes faith and belief in yourself. And you learn that you can rely on yourself, and that trust simply grows and grows with every new experience you conquer. You know, get that bucket list going. Let's work on it. You want to skydive? Go skydive. You want to bungee jump? Go bungee jump. You want to go whitewater rafting? Go whitewater rafting. There is nothing stopping you now. And the next one, number 6, stick to your guns. So many of us second guess what we're doing from our decisions to past actions and behaviours. And this creates an awful lot of tension and stress with ourselves because we're having this internal battle. Now, anxiety stems from looking forwards. We worry about the future and the path we're heading down and paving for ourselves. And this anxiety leads to trust issues internally, just as it would with anyone else. And in order to build up trust and come to depend upon yourself, you need to practice sticking to your decisions. And this will show you just how often you make the right choice. And it will also show you that if things don't go 100% to plan for whatever reason, you will still find a way to figure it out and move forwards. And I also going to add on to here that there is a power in imperfect, decisive action. So whatever decision you make it. If there is a decision required, make a decision. Whatever the result, you will either get feedback or you will get a result. And the result may not be the one that you want or you'd hope for. It might be better, it might be worse, but you'll find out. Because what happens is most people get stuck and they don't make any decision, and then nothing happens. So by making a decision, any decision, and sticking with it and riding it out and seeing where it takes you, you are already 10 steps ahead of the person that is not making any decisions whatsoever, that basically goes deer in the headlights, rabbit in the torchlight, just frozen with fear and can't move. Just make a decision, any decision. And I always tend to base it on, if somebody's trying to get me to make a decision and then they start pressuring me to make a decision, I automatically default to no, because I'm not going to get myself sort of into something that it's obviously not something that immediately grabbed my interest and my attention and my instincts to go, yay, I'm up for that. And I'm quite a decisive person. So if somebody's pressuring me to make a decision on something that I'm not sure about, then I default to no. Because I know when I know something is a good idea, because I'm like all in right off from the start. But when I'm hesitating, that normally means that something's not quite right about this. There's something about this that I'm not sure about. So I just want more information, and I need more information, and somebody's pushing me to just make a decision without it, then I'm not interested. But we are taught from a very young age that making a decision and failing is bad. So you get punished for doing things wrong. You get punished if you don't get a good enough grade in your report card. You get punished if you say something that is incorrect. You get punished if you do something that is incorrect. But you're learning. You're learning. And whatever it is that you're learning, you need to make those mistakes to be able to learn. Because we only learn from the stuff that goes wrong. We don't learn from the stuff that goes well necessarily. So it's really important that we rewire that thought process and just decide that, do you know what? Failing isn't a bad thing. If we've got a decision that we need to make and it doesn't give us the result that we wanted, and effectively we failed, that's okay. That is okay. Unless the decision that you're making is life altering, as in you're turning off somebody's life support machine, then I can understand why somebody would be hesitating. But anything that is not life-threatening, then make a decision. Just make a decision. Whatever happens, something will happen. So you'll figure it out. You work it out. It's as simple as that. The amount of times that you end up in a place where you're trying to figure things out on the spot, that's fine. That helps you build your confidence. Number 7, give yourself time to grow. So when it comes to trust, too many of us just go at it full steam ahead and we want results straight away. And we want to rush the process. And that can happen with any relationship. You want your new partner to be totally loyal and committed from the first date. And you want the new friend you made at brunch to be your new best friend forever, ready to answer your calls at 4 a.m. in the morning. And whilst it's a lovely idea, we all know that trust takes time. So whatever the relationship, you need to let trust build up naturally. And you need to nurture it by being patient, by being positive, by reinforcing good behaviours and having an open mindset. And it's no different when it comes to learning to trust yourself. So you need to give yourself the time and space to grow. Number 8, visualize your success. So vision boards are one of the best tools out there when it comes to making any lifestyle changes, from choosing a new job to working on your personality traits. And you need to think about what you want to gain from a more trusting relationship with yourself. So what are your goals? What are your intentions? Why is trusting yourself so important to you? Create a vision board of the results and the outcomes that you want to see. Design your life to be the life that you want to live. You can have statistics up there if that's how your mind works. If you trust yourself more, you'll take half the time to respond to work emails because you know that you're making the right decision. Or your intentions can be more emotional, if that helps you focus. So you may want to add feeling at peace with my dating decisions to your goals. Now, manifesting. Lots of people kind of go, woo, it's a bit woo-woo. But visualizing is the first step in changing, and manifesting that change is what comes next. So it's no good to simply having a list of outcomes you'd like if you're not willing to take action and make a shift in your life. Because when you talk about manifesting, you don't just sit there and wait to win the lottery. You have to buy a ticket to win the lottery. Well, you're never going to win the lottery unless you buy a ticket. And manifesting winning the lottery is never going to happen if you never buy a ticket. You know, it's a case of seeing what you want to achieve and then working out, almost like doing a reverse engineer of how to get there. Because you need to manifest whatever results you want to see, and start sending those emails more quickly and make snapping judgments on dating apps, and keep focusing on what you want to happen, of how you want to feel and who you want to be. So think about your best possible self and how good it feels to trust yourself and follow through with your intentions. Because the more you think, the more your actions will emulate those desires, and your manifesting will create new habits that lead you to where you want to go. But you have to put the work in. It doesn't just happen. Number 10, connecting with your inner needs. So trusting ourselves takes time, as we talked about before, but it also takes effort and energy. So often we think about how trusting ourselves can help those around us. Now, our boss may benefit from us working faster rather than asking constant questions. Our partner likes it when we make decisions rather than leaving them to do all the legwork. But what do we gain from it, and why do we need that self-trust? Take time to really think about your inner needs and wants, and how you will personally benefit from self-trust. So having personal gains helps us focus. Remember, it's okay to be selfish sometimes. Number 11, communicating with others openly. While it's crucial to think about what we need, it's more than okay to reach out to others. So you can talk to somebody that you love and be open about your expectations and hopes with regards to building self-trust. You can communicate your thoughts and feelings with someone. It can help it feel more real. When we say things out loud, we're almost forced to acknowledge their existence. Guilty of that before. Don't talk about something because then it makes it real. Yeah, it works the other way too. By taking things seriously and speaking frankly about our plans, we're telling ourselves what will happen just as much as we're telling the person we're talking to. So convincing another person that we're going to trust ourselves more is essentially convincing ourselves of the same fact. Number 12, learning to manage our expectations. So any kind of self-work can be emotional and stressful at times. And as with any relationship changes, making shifts in how you interact with yourself can come with ups and downs. So rather than expecting everything to change automatically and to be perfect on the first try, find ways to manage your wishes and keep them realistic. So, it's great, be aspirational, sure, but be attainable as well. Don't dumb down your abilities, but keep things honest and realistic when you're setting goals for yourself. It's all too easy to make grand plans, not manage to totally fulfill them, and be left doubting yourself even more than you initially did because you failed again. So to avoid getting trapped in this kind of toxic, vicious circle, plan for things going slightly off plan. It sounds weird, but it works. Give yourself a bit of leeway and you'll end up feeling successful even if things stray slightly from the original plan. And this is really important because things don't go as planned. Very rarely do things go as planned. So it's really important that you have a plan B and maybe a plan C and a D as well. But you kind of have to roll with the punches sometimes and just roll with it and see what happens. So the next one, number 13, forgive and forget. As we've just mentioned, it's a good idea to plan for the unexpected, and that helps you trust yourself as you're not always expecting perfection, and you won't feel so disappointed if things don't completely work as you'd imagined. So when that happens, forgive and forget. Forgive yourself. Let it go. Learning from experiences is so important in self-work, but so is letting yourself be human and allowing yourself to not be perfect all of the time. You can still love and trust yourself even if you make a mistake, and you can still try again if you're not happy with the result. So this is about perfectionism. You can't be a perfectionist. Perfection does not exist. Or you could look at it the other way and say everything is perfect exactly as it is. Your choice. Number 14, be vulnerable and enjoy it. Trust is essentially faith in someone or something. And what better way to learn to have faith than to let your guard down and be vulnerable? It's okay. And it's actually quite good to be vulnerable and human and raw. And it's in those moments that we see our true selves. And we can learn to love, appreciate, and honor that self. And putting on a facade makes it hard to trust yourself. Facade, facade, whatever way you want to say it. But it does still make it hard to trust yourself if you're just putting on this mask that's not really you. So if you picture it another way, if your friend suddenly became a bit two-faced, kept putting on an act and pretended to do or feel certain things, you'd feel a bit weird about it, right? And you'd probably find it hard to trust that friend, as you would feel like there was always a barrier or a defense or a mask that stops you being able to trust them. Well, apply that to yourself. Treat yourself in that same way and enjoy being vulnerable and real. Number 15, keep track of your success. Learning to trust yourself is really easy for some people and really hard for others. And for some, trust is a very abstract notion that's based on feelings, and it's really hard to monitor or predict. And for others, trust can almost be quantified. So if you keep track of your successes, if you're the second type of person, this will help you set numerical targets and achieve them. And it will allow you to track how well you're doing. By seeing your performance levels, if you will, you'll be able to trust yourself more easily. And some of us just have blind faith, and some of us need hard facts and proof. Number 16, learn to read your own body language. It's something I've been working on myself. A lack of trust in any relationship often stems from unpredictability. If you don't know how someone will react or what will push them over the edge, how could you trust them? When you've got somebody that's a wild card friend or a wild card partner, they can be fun, they can be spontaneous, but they're really difficult to have faith in because you never really know what they're going to do next. And some of us are in the same in terms of how we see ourselves. We find it hard to trust ourselves because we're not sure what we'll do, what patterns we follow, and what habits we have. And by reading our own body language and checking in with ourselves, it really allows us to connect more deeply with our minds. So the more we know about ourselves, the more we can predict what we'll do, and the more we learn to trust ourselves and have faith in our actions. So I'll give you an example here. If you sit with yourself and just observe how you act, you might notice that your heart rate becomes faster when you think about someone in specific. You may start to get itchy palms when you consider your workplace or your boss. And those behaviors help us learn what triggers us. And by finding these triggers, we can better equip ourselves for how we react. So next time you start getting itchy palms, you'll know why. You can politely remove yourself from a situation with your boss, take some calming breaths and recenter. And it really helps you to build self-trust as you can start to predict your responses, which really helps you to monitor and adjust them accordingly. Number 17, stop lying and start truthing. We're all guilty of telling the odd little porcupine little lie every so often. If you disagree with that statement, then there's a chance that you are lying to yourself right now. Lying is pretty normal, but it's not wholly healthy or helpful. And if you find that lying is a bit of an issue for you, you need to address it as soon as you can. Because lying often stems from insecurities. And you don't want to admit that you've made a mistake, or you don't want someone to see you for who you really are, or you're trying to cover up a lack of knowledge about something. And it makes total sense that we don't always want to be truthful, but that leads to such huge trust issues. And the more honest you can be with those around you and with yourself, the more trustworthy you'll become. So again, picture this personality trait in a good friend. Would you want to tell a secret to a friend who spreads lies and makes things up? No, because you can't trust them. So hold yourself to the same standards and do your best to start being more honest. And you'll end up feeling so much better, even if you sometimes have to go back to someone and admit that you told them an untruth. Lying is a bad habit, and it's hard to break, but it's important that you're taking steps towards doing the right thing. And I've always taken the attitude that there is no need for lying. You can say anything, it's just the way that you say it. And I will never make a promise that I can't keep. So if I'm doubtful as to whether or not I can actually keep a promise, then I won't make that promise in the first place. And it's a way of life. It's the way that we've lived forever. Lying is not a great thing. Don't get me wrong. Somebody says, "Do I look good in this?" And I'm kind of thinking, "Oh dear." I might say to them, I prefer the other one a little bit better. And I won't outrightly say that looks horrible on you. But I'll distract and provide a different solution. But that's just me being courteous of somebody else's feelings. So I suppose it's what you would call a white lie or a diversion or, a tactic of some kind. But I don't want to hurt other people's feelings. I don't want to make somebody else feel bad. Why would I want to do that? So lying is something to work on. Number 18, trust your gut. So anybody else automatically panic when they see or hear this phrase? Because, sure, I can listen to my gut, but then another part of my gut tells me something else and I get confused. And is the first thought an automatic reflex and the second voice, the voice of reason and rationale, or is it the other way around? It could go on forever. Let's just be honest. And it's much harder than it sounds to trust our gut in a lot of situations. Because a lot of the time we know what we think and how we feel. We just need permission to do those things. And that's normal and that's quite healthy. But it becomes an issue when we no longer trust ourselves to make decisions. Because if we can't trust the internal signals our mind and body are giving us, what hope do we have in the world? And does that sound like a familiar thought? If so, you need to start finding ways to move forward. And your gut may give confusing signals, but part of you, however deep down it may be, knows what the right thing to do is. And for so long, when you're in an abusive relationship, you will ignore your gut instincts because you'll just push it down. You'll just keep pushing it down. But by keep pushing it down, you are creating problems further ahead because your body will need to express those signals at some point. They need to come out. So our gut is basically all of our senses, our smell, our touch, our eyesight, our hearing, everything is kind of screaming, alarm, alarm, don't trust this person, or don't do what they say, there's something off. And it could be a note, it could be something in the way they speak, it could be anything, it could be a smell, it could be anything that kind of like triggers some kind of response in you. But the important thing is that your body has subconsciously collected data on this person. So your brain has subconsciously already formed an opinion on this person or on their actions, and your gut instinct is your body's way of saying this isn't working or this is working. So if you're thinking, yes, I'm all in for this, great, go for it. If you're thinking, I'm not sure, then hold on a minute, I'm not sure. Let's think about this. Number 19, make a moral compass. You need to find your internal moral compass and learn to understand the signals it's giving you. And for me, I avoid asking people's advice on things when I already know I shouldn't be doing them. And, I might ask my sister about everything under the sun, apart from when it comes to, sort of somebody I'm dating that it might be flying a lot of red flags, because I will know that she's not the best person to ask that, because I know what she's going to say and I don't want to hear it because I know I'm doing something stupid, and I know she'll tell me that. I found a way to internalize that feeling and become aware of what I'm concealing. And if, like me, you're a bit ashamed or embarrassed to ask someone's opinion, it's because you already know what it is, but you're not prepared to make any changes. And that's why you need to listen to yourself more than anything. Become your own best friend, your own moral compass, your own older sister. And the last one, imagine for a second things go right. So trust, as we've talked about, deteriorates pretty rapidly when anxiety comes. And anxiety tends to be linked to the future, what could go wrong, what could hurt you, how bad you might feel. And this kind of mindset can quickly become toxic and all-encompassing. And it's exhausting living with that kind of fear. And it makes you question everything, and is often what leads you to losing faith in yourself and having no self-trust. So fixating on all of those things that go wrong can be very addictive, and you can start catastrophizing everything. And that essentially means that you're imagining the worst case scenario for absolutely everything. And it's really common for those with anxiety, and it's really destructive, because you end up questioning everything you're doing and you feel like a failure before you've even started, because you've already predicted how badly things can go. And by focusing on so many negative possibilities, your mind almost believes that it's going to happen, or or that they've already happened. And this leaves you living in what's basically a state of trauma. You may be grieving sometimes something that's not even happened yet. You may be feeling upset and angry at the outcomes that you've imagined that haven't even happened yet. And you lose all faith and trust in yourself because you keep imagining yourself as a future failure. Now, this type of behavior can become a really dangerous habit. So if it sounds familiar, please do your best to try and stop it. It's exhausting, and it makes it feel impossible to enjoy anything. You deserve so much better. And slowly, at your own pace, start imagining things could go right. Create a mindset that pictures everything going absolutely brilliantly well. And be realistic in life, but allow your mind to wander in daydreams and picture endless successes for yourself. The more you can create these incredible future scenarios, the more your mind will start to see them as possibilities. And if you fuel your mind with those positive potentials and reset your brain, by picturing yourself as capable, competent, and successful, you'll start to build that self-trust back up. And when you do that, these emotions and those experiences will start occurring in your life, because you'll be so convinced that they must. We know that building a trusting relationship with anyone can be difficult, whether it's a partner, friend, or co-worker. So it's no surprise that loads of us struggle to trust ourselves. And by following these tips, I really hope you're going to find some ways to find faith in yourself and your abilities. And practice makes perfect. Repetition is the key to mastery. So repetition, you've just got to keep doing it. And when you first start, it's going to feel really awkward and really uncomfortable, and you'll be really conscious of it. However, that's a good thing. That means you're going to think about it. That means you're going to do it. There's no wrong or right. It means you're going to look at things from a slightly different way. So you will create new habits for yourself almost without realizing, and your mindset is going to start to shift, and before long you'll have built the best, most loving, trusting relationship with yourself, and your whole life will be better for it. So if you're still not sure how to really trust yourself, send me a message, comment on this video, send me a DM, contact from me through my website, which is www.jennyrockcoaching.com. Alternatively, I've got a Facebook page here, Jenny Rock Coaching. Find the Facebook page and post something on there. I'll see it. Okay? Because I can help you with this. And rather than spending months and months and maybe even years and years suffering with this, and you've come out of a divorce and you don't know what the hell to do or how to fix yourself, then contact me.